Hello fashion lovers, welcome to the channel. So today's fashion DIY will be on how to make this beautiful and trendy bubu with a fitted waistline and a ruched effect at the front. So to make this dress, you'll be needing about 3 to 4 yards of fabric to make this dress, depending on your measurement and how wide you want your dress to be. So without further ado, let's get started. So these are the materials I'll be using to make this dress. The flowered one is called crepe. So this is flowered crepe. I have about 3 yards of crepe material here. And the plain one is called ruched fabric. I have about 1 yard of ruched fabric here. I'll be needing just a little from the 1 yard, so I won't be exhausting the whole 1 yard of the ruched material. So the first thing I did was to fold my fabric into 4. I folded into 2 first and fold into 2 again. So this is because we are going to be cutting the front and the back together. So after folding into 4 equal parts like this, I'm making sure the side with the closed end is facing me. So the next thing to do is to place the neck measurement. I'll start with the back neck measurement. I'll be using 3 by 1.5 inches for the neck measurement. So 3 inches is the width and 1.5 is for the neck depth at the back. So after placing the neck measurement, the next thing to do is to mark out the shoulder slope. So to mark out the shoulder slope, I came down by 1 inch and I'll be connecting this to the neck. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So after doing this, the next thing is to cut out the actual neck for the front. But before cutting out the actual neck for the front, we'll be separating the front and the back. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out to enable me separate the 2 pieces. So this is just me cutting out the other end of the fabric to enable me separate the front from the back. So after cutting open the other end, I'll go ahead and separate the 2 pieces. So I'll go ahead and separate the front and the back piece. So after separating the front and the back, I'll be marking out the actual neck depth for the front. So I'm using 9 inches for the neck depth. You can use 10 inches depending on how low you want your neck depth to be at the front, but 9 inches is just fine. So from where my neck depth stops, I'll just go in by 1 inch, and from there I'll be marking 1 inch down all the way to the hem of my dress. So after going in by 1 inch at the neck depth, I'm marking it all the way down. So the next thing to do is to make a V-neck and connect it to the point where I went in by 1 inch. So after marking, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So after splitting the front part into 2, the next thing to do is to join the front and the back together. So I'll just place them like this, right side facing right side, and I'll start joining this from the shoulder. So I'll just go ahead and join the shoulders using 1/2 inch for the sewing allowance. So after joining the shoulders by 1/2 inch, so the next thing to do is to mark out the sleeve opening. So I'll be using 9 inches for the sleeve opening. You can use 10 or 11 depending on how wide you want your sleeve opening to be. But before then, I've gone ahead to cut out the plain fabric I'll be using to design the sleeve area. So what I have here is 4 inches. The width of this is 4 inches on fold. So after folding, you are going to have like 2 inches, and the length of this unfold is 10 inches. Remember, my sleeve opening is 9 inches, so the length of this is 10 inches. So the extra 1 inch is for the sewing allowance, and I'll be needing 2 of these for the both sleeves. So the next thing to do is to open up the dress like this, and I'll be fixing this plain part where I have my sleeve opening. So make sure this is well centralized. So I'll just place it on the right side like this. I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew this by 1/2 inch. And I'll repeat the same thing on the other sleeve opening. So after fixing the plain parts on the two sleeves opening, so the next thing to do is to join the two sides of the dress. So just bring the two sides together like this and sew all the way down from the sleeve opening. I'll be sewing mine, leaving 1 inch for the sewing allowance. After sewing the both sides, so the next thing to do is to create the belt for snatching the waist at the front area. You know the waist at the front area is fitted while the back is free. So go ahead and make something like a belt, and you'll be needing 2 of these. Make sure your belt is long enough to go around your waist. So the next thing to do, place your tape on your shoulders and mark to your waist point. So my shoulder to waist point is 15 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 15 inches from my shoulder point. So the next thing to do is to divide my waist circumference by 4. So my waist circumference is 32 inches. After dividing by 4, I have 8 inches. So at the center front, I'll be going out by 8 inches on both sides of the center front. So please take note, I'm marking this on the half length of my dress. So the next thing to do is to pick up my belts, and I'll be pinning them on the area where I marked. So after pinning, I'll go ahead and sew this to the dress. So please take note, I'm sewing this just at the front of the dress. So after stitching the belt to my dress, please make sure you double stitch very well to secure your belt very well on your dress. So after stitching the ropes, go ahead and turn this dress over to the right side. So after turning this over to the right side, the next thing to do is to form the gathers at the front, which is the main design of the dress. So to form the gathers, I'll be marking from my shoulder to my waist point, and from my waist point I will go down by 20 inches. So I'll just go down by 20 inches from my waist point. So please take note, the lower you go, the higher the dress becomes at the front. So I'll be going down by 20 inches. You can use more or less depending on your height and how high or low you want the front to be. So from my waist point to the point where I came down by 20 inches, I'll be making an upward pleat towards my waist point. So I'll be pleating this towards the waist point, and as I'm pleating, I'll be holding the pleats down with my office pin. So I'll be pleating this till I get to the point where I marked 20 inches. So after pleating one side, I'll be repeating the same process on the opposite side. So after pleating and holding down with your pin, take this to your sewing machine and secure your pleats. So I've gone ahead to use my sewing machine to secure my pleats. So make sure your pleats are aligning well and on the same line. So the next thing to do is to measure around the front opening. That is the center front of your dress. You'll be measuring it round from one end across the neck to the other end of the dress. So the next thing to do after measuring is to cut out the plain design at the front of the dress. So I've gone ahead to cut mine, and the measurement I have here, the width of this is 4 inches. When I place it on fold, I'll be having 2 inches, and the length is what I got after measuring round. So it's time to fix this on the main dress. So I'll be attaching this from the other end of the dress opening. I'll sew it across the neck and back to the other end. So I'll go ahead and attach this, leaving half an inch for the sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to attach this around the dress opening. So the next thing I'll do, I'll place my tape on the shoulders of the dress and mark out the neck depth, my desired neck depth. So the neck depth I'm using for this dress is 9 inches. You can make yours higher or lower depending on your preference. So after marking out the desired neck depth, the next thing to do is to close up the front. So I'll be closing up this by overlapping. So at this point, you can choose to just close up permanently by making a very neat top stitch on it, or you can choose to just close with your press button if you don't want to close this up permanently. So whichever way you want it, the choice is yours. So I'll be using my office pin to secure this before taking it to my sewing machine to close up permanently. So before closing up, please make sure the neck opening is wide enough for your head. So after closing up neatly, I also went ahead to embellish with some fancy buttons, but this is totally optional. So this is the final look of this beautiful dress. So let me know what you think about this tutorial in the comment section, and please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.